Every boarding school has one story no student dares laugh about. As St. Bridget's Girls' Secondary School, it wasn't the ghost in the toilet nor the abandoned science lab. It was Senior Grace, the girl who removed her head every Saturday night just to braid her hair, and everyone who saw her never stayed the same. When Ngozi gained admission into St. Bridget's, she assumed the seniors were only trying to frighten the new girls. On her very first night in the hostel, the lights went out at exactly 10 p.m. The room fell silent. Then her bunkmate Ada leaned close and whispered, "Whatever you do, if you wake up after midnight on a Saturday, don't look towards Senior Grace's corner." "Why?" Ngozi laughed. Ada's face went pale. "Because that is when she removes her head." No one else in the room laughed either. Every girl simply rolled her blanket higher. Ngozi told herself it was a prank until her third Saturday. The rain that night beat hard against the windows. The matron had finished her rounds. Everyone seemed asleep. Then, sometime around midnight, Ngozi heard it click, 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 like someone twisting the lid of a bottle. Slowly, she lowered her blanket. Senior Grace sat alone on her bed, back to the room. Both hands rose to her own head, and with one smooth motion, she lifted her head clean off her shoulders. No blood, no scream, just silence. She set the head gently on her lap. The eyes blinked, the lips smiled. The head spoke, "Make the middle part straighter this time." Grace's headless body picked up a comb and began braiding, calm as anything, while the head washed from her lap. Ngozi wanted to scream. Nothing came out. Then the head turned. Its eyes found hers in the dark, and it smiled. Ngozi yanked the blanket over her face, certain she was dreaming. Then came footsteps, bare feet on cold floor. Tap, tap, tap. They stopped beside her bunk. A cold whisper slid into her ear. "You were not supposed to see that." It was Grace's voice exactly. The footsteps moved back. Click, then silence. By morning, Grace was in her uniform, hair freshly braided, smiling through devotion as though she had slept like a stone. At breakfast, "Ada, what happens if someone sees Senior Grace?" Ada dropped her spoon. Two other girls stopped eating. One made the sign of the cross. "Don't ask questions you don't want answered," someone murmured. The last girl who talked about it, Ada started, then stopped herself. What happened to her? Ada glanced around before whispering. She disappeared. That evening, Ngozi noticed something else. Whenever Senior Grace passed a mirror, she cast no reflection. Was Grace even a student? Or had she been inside St. Bridget's long before any of them arrived? The following Saturday, Grace carried a small wooden box wrapped in black clothes into the hostel and slid it beneath her bed. No one else noticed. At midnight, the familiar click returned. Ngozi stayed under her blanket until a child's voice, small and crying, drifted out from beneath Grace's bed. "Please, give me my head back." The wooden box began to slide across the floor on its own. Grace lifted the box onto her bed, removed her own head as before, and set it beside the box. From inside, her body drew out an old comb with missing teeth, a faded red ribbon, and finally a small cracked hand mirror. The moment the mirror faced Grace's detached head, her smile vanished. For the first time, she looked afraid. The crying voice now came from the mirror itself. Inside the cracked glass stood a wooden girl in an old St. Bridget's uniform, clothes muddy, hair half braided and her neck ending abruptly at the shoulders, no head, yet somehow still crying. "You promised," the little girl said. "I know," Grace whispered. "You promised to bring me back." A tear slid down Grace's detached face. "I have tried every Saturday for 20 years. By morning, a Form 3 girl named Chioma had vanished, bed empty, slippers still beside it, and Senior Grace's braid was longer than the day before, woven through with a faded red ribbon, the same ribbon from the clothes. Police searched the school, nothing. Parents arrived in panic. The principal banned everyone from walking alone after evening prep. Ada cornered Ngozi behind the dining hall. "You need to stop following Grace." "I can't." "My sister went to this school 15 years ago," Ada said quietly. "Every few years, a girl disappears. Nobody is ever found. And Grace," she swallowed. "My sister said Grace looked exactly the same back then. Exactly. No single difference." That night, at 1 a.m., Ngozi slid out of the hostel and followed footprints she had watched Grace leave earlier, behind the old assembly hall, to a small stone building swallowed in vines. Faded letters above the door read St. Bridget's Prayer Chapel. The door stood open, candlelight flickered inside. At the altar knelt Senior Grace, head still on her shoulders, crying. "I have done everything you asked me," she whispered. "Please let the girls go." Before her stood a mirror taller than any person. Its surface rippled like dark water. A deep voice answered from inside it. "You still owe me one more. You made the bargain. You wanted your sister back. Bargains must be completed." Grace shook her head violently. "No, I won't sacrifice any more students." Floor cracked beneath Ngozi's foot. Grace spun around. Their eyes met. A black hand shot out from the mirror and seized Grace's wrist. Another reached towards Ngozi. "Run!" Grace screamed. Ngozi sprinted for the door, but it slammed shut on its own. Darkness swallowed the chapel, except for the mirror, swirling like black water. Faces appeared inside it, dozens of them, girls in every era of Sir Bridget's uniform, palms pressed to the glass, begging. Ngozi recognized one instantly. "Chioma, alive, trapped, pounding from the inside. Help me! Help me! Help me!" Ngozi lunged towards the glass. Grace threw herself in the way. "No, you can't touch it. Once it knows your name, it never lets you go." The voice in the mirror laughed. "You protected them for 28 years. Grace, your time is over." Glowing marks shaped like tiny chains lit up around Grace's neck. She had never been free. She had been the mirror's prisoner the entire time. While shaking hands, she pressed a small silver whistle into Ngozi's palm. "Go to the old library. Behind the last shelf, a locked cabinet. Inside is Sister Catherine's diary. Everything you need is written there." "What about you?" Grace smiled, sad and certain. "I made a terrible mistake many years ago. I have spent my life trying to stop anyone else from paying for it." The black hands dragged her towards the glass. She didn't fight them. "Break the curse," she whispered, and then she was gone. The principal found Ngozi outside the chapel and led her, without question, straight to the library, pulling aside the last bookshelf to reveal a hidden door. "I have never had the courage to open this room," the principal admitted, handing over an old brass key. "It only opened for the one the mirror chooses." Inside, dust covered and untouched, sat a blue leather diary. Beside an old photograph, a group of smiling students, standing among them, a teenage girl, Grace, and beside her, a near identical second girl. Twins! On the back, a faded handwriting read, "Grace and Glory Okonkwo, final term together." Glory disappeared during a Saturday night study, the principal said quietly. Grace blamed herself. That is how the mirror caught her. The diary's first page read, "If you are reading this, the curse has chosen another keeper. Do not trust the mirror. It lies. It grants hope only to steal lives." Decades earlier, the land beneath the school had been an orphanage, built over an ancient sealed wall after children began hearing voices call their names from inside it. When St. Bridget was built over the ruins, workers placed a mirror over the opening, never knowing they had built a door instead of a wall. The final line of the diary read, "The curse cannot be broken by another sacrifice. It can only end when someone refuses to bargain with the darkness, no matter the cost." As Ngozi finished reading, the lights went out. Footsteps echoed outside the hidden room. Then a soft, familiar voice. Ngozi is Grace. No one at school knew her first name. The voice shifted, becoming her own mother's. "My daughter, please open the door." Tears filled her eyes. It sounded so real. She remembered the diary's warning, the mirror lies. She stepped back. The voice stopped, then scratched the three long lines across the wood and laughed. "You have learned it," it said, "but sunrise is still very far away." At sunrise, the mirror makes a final choice, the principal whispered, blowing out the lantern. A loud bang shattered the hidden door. Black mist poured through the gap, rising into the shape of a tall woman with long braided hair and no face, only darkness. Yet Ngozi knew it was looking directly at her. "Give me your fear," the shadow said, "and I'll return every child." Behind it stood Grace, Glory, Chioma, all reaching towards Ngozi. "Come with us, please." For one terrible moment, she almost stepped forward. Then she remembered Grace's own words. "I have spent my life trying to stop anyone else from paying for my mistake." The mistake had never been losing her sister. It had been believing the darkness's promise. Ngozi closed the diary, looked the shadow in its faceless dark, and said, "I will not bargain with you. You will lose them all." "I know. I will not bargain with you. You will never see Grace again. I will not bargain." Tears ran down her face, "But I will not bargain." And the shadow screamed. The walls shook, windows burst open, cracks of golden light split the darkness apart. "No," it shrieked, "you are supposed to choose. I chose nothing." Outside, the first light of sunrise touched the school grounds. The chapel bell rang once, twice, three times, and the earth shook with a final thunderous crack. The ancient mirror scattered. By morning, the chapel had nothing but thousands of glittering shards across the floor. The coldness that had clung to the building for decades was simply gone. Chioma stood there, other long missing girls beside her, and at the back, Grace no longer in her uniform, but in a simple white dress, hair resting neatly over her shoulders, her eyes finally fully at peace. "Thank you," she said, raising a gentle hand when Ngozi moved towards her. "It's all right. My duty is over." Beside her stood Glory, holding her hand. The sisters looked at each other and smiled. No fear left between them, only stillness. "I thought I could save my sister by making a bargain, but evil never keeps its promise. You saved everyone because you refused to make the same mistake." The sunlight grew brighter. Hand in hand, the sisters began to fade. Before she disappeared, Grace whispered, "Tell them, never let fear make you their choice." And then they were gone. Weeks later, the missing girls' investigation closed without answers. Some of the long-vanished students were found wandering safely in nearby villages, unable to recall where they had been. Others were never found. The chapel was demolished. Beneath its foundation, workers uncovered the sealed stone well, exactly as Sister Catherine's diary described. And this time, it was filled permanently with stone and concrete. A memorial garden was planted over it. No building was raised there again. Ngozi graduated 2 years later. Before leaving St. Bridget for the last time, she walked once more to the garden. Fresh flowers covered the ground. As she turned to go, a gentle breeze passed by, carrying just for a second the faint scent of coconut hair oil, the kind Senior Grace always use. She smiled. Some stories don't end in revenge. Some